Hi guys, welcome back to the show. We were just here yesterday, right? But I did say we had another show tonight, so thank you guys for coming in. Everybody that comes in, whether they watch back later, welcome to AnimeInkArt Live Talks. This is our show where we talk to different blur creators in the community about their journey in content creation, how we can support each other better in the community. So first off, I just want to say, hope you had a good start to the week. I know it's Monday. I know it's hard after coming off of the weekend, especially because it's getting to be summertime. It's hot outside, but hopefully it was great. And let's just make sure we get a few other people in here. I always post it on my page. I try to post it on the other page and just different channels just so people know that we're going live. So we have a few. I'll probably do it like here and there. But definitely for today, we have very special guest, Atari Gem. Atari Gems. They are a VA-based writer, cosplayer, podcaster, visual artist, culture producer, and they are also the cosplay director at ImmerseCon. So definitely, let's get them on the show and let's get it started.
Hi everyone, thank you again.
You're welcome. How are you today?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm super excited for summer, and I can't believe it's almost there in a few weeks. So
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely feeling like summer with how hot it is right now.
yes, indeed.
And again, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. And for the people that don't know who you are, introduce yourself.
Okay, hi everyone. So my name is Atari. My Instagram handle is Mochahime. I am a VA-based writer, cosplayer, model, podcaster, and cosplay director for ImmerseCon. I've worked with other different nerd brands in the past, but I just kind of just call myself like a multi hyphenate, like creative.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely do a lot of amazing things. And I wanted to ask when you first got yourself out there, especially like sharing it on social media, what was the first thing you did? Because there's so many things that you do and that you show us
So the funny thing, are you talking about cosplay or in general?
in general.
I think for me, so I'm 33, and I know I spoke on one reel. I've been in the kind of creative space like on and off for like 10 years, but I think with the cosplay and now kind of like dabbling in the modeling, I think I've been a little bit more consistent because I'm not gonna lie, I'm used to doing like some of the back end stuff like the podcasting and the writing for like blogs, and I've been a part of several publications. So having this kind of growing cosplay journey, it's like it brings me joy even though I consider myself like an introvert. So I feel like sharing my journey, it keeps me in check, but also I feel like I've grown and I feel like I can help someone in the way because I realize I have a very unique um space. But I think for the cosplay journey, it's very interesting because I don't think I'm like quite the traditional cosplayer because I don't know if I can if you're gonna ask that question later on, but like I kind of have a weird origin story for cosplay too.
No, yeah, definitely. I'm definitely gonna ask as many questions as possible as different things. So I definitely do want to ask about your journey in like cosplay, like where it started and what inspired you. That was one of the questions, and the a second question was also because like definitely like goth, like like the black alt fashion, like you're definitely into it. You have a lot of content where you show like your different outfits and sometimes you use the aspects of the fashion in your cosplays when you have collabs. So it's a two-part. I wanted to ask about how you got into the
Mhm.
out fashion, and the second part is about cosplay and what got you into cosplay.
So the out fashion thing, like this gonna sound funny. Like I've always been kind of old. I know in a recent video I did I've been some variant of like
Of
the
that
non. I don't
throughout
want to
your
be like.
life.
Yeah, like throughout my life, whether like as a teenager, like wearing like little fake goth Lolita clothes and like being like seen and like always being kind of into those kind of music based cultures. And then through college, I was like really into thrifting. and I kind of returned back to that. And for a little bit, I was like, okay, like wearing the crystals and like that was kind of like the thing in the 20s. And then like I think like maybe a year and a half ago, maybe like 2 years ago or something, I went to a concert with two of my sisters, and we went to a Kaylani concert, and it was for my younger sister's birthday. And she's like, you know, you're like the Bratz rock angel, like Bratz or whatever. I'm not a Bratz girl, so I probably butchered that whole little thing. And I never realized like that I was like darkly inclined because it was just kind of like a thing where it's like, oh, okay. And then it's like when I started dressing like that, like publicly more, because I felt like, and this might sound weird, I felt like for a little bit in my late 20s and like early 30s, like I'm 33, I felt that because I was like a working professional and then like a black woman on plus size, that sometimes like when you're that you can't be expressive. And
Yeah.
then like from that kind of outing with my sister, I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna just start putting some pieces together. And I just kind of started wearing it at one of my jobs, and nobody gave a damn. Like they were just like, okay, like, oh, cool loafers. I had like these chunky like loafers, and like I've had varying demonias and stuff. So it was just kind of like, okay, this is something that I've always done, but now I'm kind of like showing it. And then I think now I'm at this space where it's kind of like, okay, I listen to goth music, but
Mhm.
also I'm not like a trad goth or whatever.
Yeah.
And no offense to like any trad goth, but I feel like sometimes when people say goth, they think like a Wednesday Adam. They think of some type of character instead of like a person. And thankfully, you know, like, and I think I've shared in one video, I've been to Afro punk and I've worn different color hairstyles, and I've had a septum and different stuff like throughout college. But when I got older, I kind of was like, and now I'm kind of like, well, I'm grown, like I can, you know, do my own thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, this kind of reclamation, because for a little bit I was like, okay, this is weird. And then like 2 years ago, like, oh, my sister like clocked it, and she's just like, nobody cares. So it's just kind of like sometimes you have to give yourself, excuse me, permission to like do these things. And I would say that for anybody that's in like an alt fashion subculture, um and they're like a black person, because typically, I hate saying this, but a lot of times you'll see like any of the alt fashion subcultures like Decora, any of the J fashion
Mhm.
things, boho, blah blah blah. It's always like a skinny white person, and if they're not non-binary, not knocking non-binary, but there's always like a certain mode. And I feel like with my like cosplay page and fashion pages, like, okay, I'm just gonna show up as I am, and like maybe I inspire people. And also I'll post stuff on like Facebook, and people be like, oh, like cool. And recently I went to a goth meetup, and
Mhm.
one of my friends, they're not a black person, but they are a person of size, and they were like, they didn't know that there were other like plus size like goth people in our specific, you know, regional community. So it's just like giving yourself permission on whatever you are, whatever you're inclined to kind of go that. Like obviously, like goth is a music based on culture first of all, and the aesthetic is kind of getting commodified, and that's a whole nother thing. But how it relates to cosplay, to kind of tie into that.
Mhm.
So I started cosplaying, like I've always known about cosplay and stuff like that. I've been friends with a couple cosplayers for like the past 10 years, but how I kind of got into it, I went to like a Disney dance night with one of my friends who's not not really nerdy like that.
Yeah.
I hope she don't see this. But you know, I'm trying to be like illustrative. But she's like, yeah, we're going to this like Disney dance party. This was like, I don't know, 2021, 2022, something. Just something like, girl, like, let's get out the house. So I don't consider myself a Disney adult, but like I will go. So I just was like, damn, I don't have a costume. So I like drove to Walmart and I found some Mickey Mouse ears in the it wasn't even Halloween. That's the crazy part. It like
Yeah.
some Mickey Mouse ears, and then like had a black t-shirt, and then I did my makeup all stupid. And like it didn't really give Minnie Mouse in hindsight. And I think I had like I don't know if I had a red skirt with polka dots. I don't know. I just had something in the closet, and I was like, I'm gonna be Minnie Mouse, and I had white gloves, and then people knew who I was, and I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I guess like I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Outside of like Halloween and stuff like that, I had never really like cosplay because at that point I had been to cons like on and off, but like not like this is so like probably embarrassing. Like I never like was like blazing flag. I'm a nerd. I gotta get all the nerd stuff, and like people gonna probably hate me, but like that's where I was at. Like in
Yeah.
that space I was in, I was just kind of like, okay, I've been at cons, okay, whatever. But I was never like woo. And so we went to this Disney dance party, and I was like, okay, cool, I like this. And
Mm-hmm.
then there was like a bar crawl, like a 90s bar crawl or something. And a different friend was like, oh, it's 90s theme. We should go, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, I'm gonna be Bulma from like Dragon Ball. Like, I don't know why. I could have probably picked someone much simpler, but like that was the first time I bought like an actual cosplay, like costume, like I don't even remember. I think that was like maybe like a year after. It was like some briefer time. But I bought
Yeah.
Bulma costume from Mike Costume. I never bought anything else off Mike Costume. Clearly, it was a little bit too tight for my figure, and that's okay. You live and you learn. But only like one person outside of my friends, like they went as like one of my friends, I think went as someone from Full House, and
Mm-hmm.
then my other friend was like a Powerpuff Girl, and they people knew them, I guess, or whatever. I mean, people were drunk. That's a whole nother story. But it was really interesting because I either had two reactions, and it was like the first time that ever like happened. Because some people were like what the fuck? Because this was like downtown at a bar, and then some people were like, oh, like I think I've seen you before, and I'm just kind of like, okay, this is kind of fun. Okay, whatever. So, like a few months later, I took the same Boma costume to like, I think it was like GalaxyCon Richmond, and then I started taking like meeting other cosplayers, and then like on Instagram that I still have, that's not my public one. I like became friends with them. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool, and yeah, ever since that kind of happened, I was like, okay. And then I joined this one party entertainment service company by proxy or something. Like I was Sailor Mars, and I was like, oh, you can do this professionally. And then that's kind of how like the cosplay stuff and my like kind of nerd career kind of took off from that. And that was like 2022, 2023. And then from that it was just kind of like I didn't. I think that's another thing with cosplay too. I think sometimes people are too by the book because what I was finding, I would be ordering these fast fashion costumes from like the Shein and Mike, but it
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel like me. So I was like, there's got to be a way you can like freak this and like make it your own. And so like I think it was like if it wasn't last year, it was like the year before. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna be goth like Amy or some shit, and like I think I
Yeah.
was off Buttercup, but that was like shit that I already had in my closet, and like I made like a terrible Amy like hammer, but I loved like doing that, and I that was like the first like real prop I ever made, so I was like, okay, I kind of like this and stuff like that, cause like before like I had like cosplay friends and stuff, but they were like super into like the craft
Yeah.
part. And like I'm crafty in some ways. Like I can draw, I can paint, but like I'm just not like what I call like a crafter cosplay player. And so I was just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna try this. And then the digital cosplay stuff that was kind of born out of and I hope I'm not like yapping too much. I'm just being
No,
really
you're
honest
good.
because I feel like I have a weird little cosplay origin story.
Yeah.
I think because I like quintessentially came from like the bar and club space. I was so
Yeah.
used to like people seeing me at night, and so when it came to the con stuff, I didn't want to say I was embarrassed, but my the way I'm shaped and like I'm, me being like
Mm.
plus size, I get hypersexualized. Like
Mm.
that's just the fact of the matter. Like I get hypersexualized, and sometimes it feels like when you look like me, it's like you can't really be in this con thing because now somebody's dad is gonna like
Oh
hypersexualize you,
no.
and
Yeah.
I've had that happen before,
Happened.
even in characters that are not like remotely like sexy, like and it's just kind of like, I gotta kind of like reassess. And like, I've talked to
Mhm.
my like therapist about it. And she's like, you can be in the space and like you can't control other people's actions and stuff like
Mm.
that. So the kind of like digital cosplays kind of came from like, okay, I want to be able to cosplay on my own terms and not worry about anybody's creepy uncle or whatever. Because I've had people like touch me. It's been really weird. I don't know. I don't
Mm.
know if anybody else can relate. I'm like, why are you touching my arm? Why what?
That's
So it's
weird.
been, yeah. It's just been really weird. And so now I'm at this point where I'm like kind of like, okay, I'm cosplaying. I'm adding like this kind of fashion kind of wear, and now I'm starting to go back into spaces. But on the flip side, like which I didn't mention in my intro, is like meeting other people that are into Black Fae Day, which I've done a
Hmm.
couple of times like in the DMV, and then most recently a couple of my new friends just kind of like, oh, we're going to do an Afro Fae collective, and then that has turned into like, oh, you like D&D, I like D&D, or oh, you like crystals, I like crystals, and like it's just kind of like organically growing in like Richmond. And even though some of the homies may consider themselves cosplayers and some don't, and that's okay. And I think um letting myself be creative in a way where I don't have to look like a character that's from like an IP where it's like, okay, like, because I've been in instances where I've been, I'm trying to think, who was I? I was like Misa from like Death Note,
Hmm.
and I went to a con. This is like maybe 2 years ago, like 2024 or whatever,
Hmm.
and nobody knew who I was. I was like, bro, I got an apple. Like, bro, what? And I don't know if that happens to other like black cosplayers. You could literally be like the character and have like the flagship. So I don't know, but I think like for me, I'm at this place where it's kind of like I'm doing like face stuff. I'm also like, sharing my story and like connecting to other people digitally, and then also uh doing some stuff like offline, of course, with like ImmerseCon, and then some other like community stuff that's coming up.
Yeah.
And I just literally, I feel like I'm just learning as I go. I'm trying to get a sewing machine. I'm definitely scared of them. I haven't sewn since like I was 12 or something.
Oh my god.
So, but I know I want to do it, and like several of my friends are like, "Yeah, you should try it, and it's gonna add another layer to your cosplay." And that's kind of where I'm like venturing, where it's like, okay, like I'm getting confident in my fashion, but also I want to add this to the cosplay, but also I don't want to have to keep buying stuff. And I first, and that's cool, but I want to like alter some stuff. So that's where I'm at. That was a really long-winded answer, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like I feel like everybody, especially when they cosplay or do anything, they always have like a backstory. So I loved hearing about the backstory. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And definitely, I know that you did podcasting as well. I
Hmm.
saw the Stereo Heart cast, which is going to be talking about Black folks in rock and diasporic
Hmm.
ties. So I definitely wanted you to talk about that and what got you into podcasting as well.
So Stereo Heart, that hasn't started yet.
Yeah,
And
it's later on in the year. Yeah.
yeah, like once I get through the con, and but how that kind of started. So going back to like the alt kind of fashion part, I've always listened to like alt music and stuff like that. And I feel like I have a very unique um role in that because my dad was a grunge head.
Mm.
So when I was a kid, it was like Nirvana was Tool. And so me and Allison changed some when my dad would pick me up because my parents had double joint custody or whatever. It was like my mom had a certain sonic palette, and then my dad had this kind of unique palette. And my dad um because he was listening to grunge.
Mm-hmm.
He listened to grunge, but also he liked Aerosmith, and he also listened to rap. And like my dad was like the first kind of like alt person that I knew specifically, even if he might not identify as alt or whatever. So when I got to school and I would have all these different CDs, whether it was like No Doubt, uh Evanescence, everything from Good Charlotte. Like it was always okay for me to listen to any subgenre of rock. So, and in my household it was okay. And then like I know my mom liked pop. I wouldn't say my mom's really a big rock fan like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe soft rock. Like if it's something like I don't know, Nickelback. I'm just thinking like something like easy and soft or whatnot. Not saying that
Yeah.
Nickelback is not easy and soft. It's just like when it came to rock, it was like that was kind of like my dad's forte. Also, he was like my dad's from New York, so we were listening to like DMX and like
Mm-hmm.
Nas and like my mom listened to some of that stuff, but my dad, because of his personality and his leaning, he always kind of like the darker, kind of harder rap artists. In addition to like the Nirvana, the Tool, Alice in Chains. So by the time I was like in fifth grade. This is full swing of Toonami era. If anybody remembers, Toonami like used to be doing a lot of AMV. So Linkin Park, I'm trying to think, POD with the Matrix, like POD. I don't know why we don't talk about them payable on death or whatever, but like in the early aughts, new metal was everything. Like things that we call like new metal, like Linkin Park, Corn, all that kind of stuff. Like that was always played as a kid when I was with my dad, and even like as I got older and started to have autonomy, and I was on YouTube, I was like listening to that, and I remember my mom. I remember like my mom. I had a computer, and I remember just downloading like gorillas and all this kind of stuff. But I remember when I was younger, at least around middle school, that wasn't really accepted. And it was kind of weird because it was like, my mom let me listen to it. My dad was buying it, letting me listen to it. And then even my grandma, like, I was going to church for it. And like when Flyleaf and Paramore and some of the like old punk, more uppity kind of stuff, my grandma would buy it. It was always acceptable for me. And so, coupled with my kind of fashion and everything that I just kind of like explore, like I love all music, but like I would say neo soul and new metal are gonna have my heart. It was always weird because I would always find pushback from like other black people. Not so much now as like a 30 something where people are like reclaiming like their inner childhood, or there are a lot of us who they never had like the I need to be embarrassed of something that's not stereotypical. But I was just like, dang, I wasn't really seeing no podcasts like talking about it. Like I know there's the podcast that's like black people love Paramore, but I think that's just more of like a lifestyle podcast, and it's just like a black person does like a non-stereotypical thing, not really a music thing. But
Yeah.
I was finding when I was having online conversations with um people who made music, they weren't really being covered. And
Mm-hmm.
then also another part, and I think I'm all over the place, I'm super sorry. When I was in college, I would go to hardcore shows, and I went to some like emo shows and like some pop punk shows when I was in high school with like some of my friends who were like white, and like they were like, okay, y'all be okay, and blah blah. And somebody had a car. I don't know why my mom was just like entrusting me with these little emo ass kids. I gotta write a book. But anyways, I realized that a lot of people that I talk to now, they didn't really have that experience coming up, like the buying of rock music, having an adult to talk about, having friends that really listen to, and then even when I got to Afropunk, and this might step on some people's toes, like Afropunk used to actually be punk, like,
Mm.
and then it turned into something else. And like I enjoyed my time going to Afropunk, but like when it got bought out, it
Mm.
became this kind of void space. Like the digital space got removed, and now you have like punk black, and now you have Afro goth aesthetic. But it's just kind of like all those, not all the followers, but those are kind of like younger kids. They're hearing like the rock on like TikTok, where it's like me, where it's like I was on MySpace and talking to like artists and all that kind of stuff. But I always felt like I haven't seen like a podcast where it's like talking to black people specifically about rock and subgenres personally and publicly. I'm sure that there are, but I remember a lot of those conversations were tied up in Afropunk. But then when Essence bought it, and that, it fell to shit, a lot of those, unfortunately, a lot of our digital archives went with it. I know there's stuff like there's different kind of archival projects, but I wanted to just kind of talk to anybody who wanted to talk to me about like their favorite band, or uh if they're in a band, and stuff like that, because I think, all in all, and maybe aging myself as a 33-year-old, like um watching the rise of Magnolia Park, and there's another band that's everywhere, Paradox,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, like Willow and all these others. But I feel like people are like, okay, now we got black bands, but they're like missing kind of that in between space where it was like, okay, like we had Seven Dust, and I'm just gonna list out like older bands that had black front women, front front women, front men, that a lot of the younger people don't know. Like I had told somebody recently, this was on Threads, maybe like 2 months ago, they didn't know that Jada Pinkett Smith had a
Mm.
metal band for
Oh
like
wow.
years. A lot of people don't know that
Yeah.
because a lot of
Oh, they
people,
didn't know that. I didn't. I didn't know they didn't know that.
they're just like, their only concept of the Smith family having rock ties is Willow. Even
Mm.
though Willow has, covered her mom's song, most people don't think of Jada Pinkett Smith as a metal vocalist. And I was there. Like I remember seeing Wicked Wisdom on MTV2 around like 12, 13.
Mm.
And then there's this one band. It was another band. I was like listing out just like black bands from yesterday that some kids, they just did not know. And of course there were like adults who were like, "Oh yeah, I remember like Seven Dust. I remember Straight Line Stitch." That's another one. There, Straight Line Stitch. A lot of the younger black women that we have now, like Nova Twins, I can't think of her name. The girl from Meet Me at the Altar,
Yeah.
and there's like a lot of new younger like metal female black female vocalists that are in metal or alt or whatever, that owe a lot to Joy, that owe a lot to, Alexis Brown and Straight Line Stitch. But nobody talks about like those vocalists because they're black women of a certain age. Because remember, for a long time, outside of like maybe Aaliyah being in Queen of the Dam, and I just learned recently, because Trent Reznor brought it up, Aaliyah was gonna have some 9 Inch Nail like music. I want to talk to people who, know stuff like that.
Mm.
Some stuff I'm gonna know because like I was a young person at the time. But I remember recently, I was on Threads,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know who the hell I was talking to. No, I'm being so serious. And we were talking about D'Angelo, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they were saying D'Angelo had even more rock music, and he was supposed to put out some
Mm.
more way before like 2014, but his label was like, nope, that's too out the fringe. You doing
Mm.
R&B. I want to have conversations about like black musicians who, you know, want to do rock. Like a lot of people don't know this. Mariah Carey had a rock band. They told her, nope,
Mm.
you go sing. You can find the album. It's called Chick.
Mm.
So I'm super passionate about like rock music, and I want to talk to other like black people about it, whether they're making it and they're in this kind of weird black rock revival, or they're from yesteryear and they were like listening to Prince. I was talking to somebody who was like, they remember people hated Prince. And
Mm,
obviously, like, I'm 33, so I wasn't in the 80s. I don't have that like idea of like a world where somebody hates Prince because he's a black man with a guitar and being like kind of hypersexual.
yeah.
So I'm interested in those kind of conversations because I think it's like not only a industry kind of like black people, they can only do hip hop, they can only do like R&B, but also kind of like, you know, I just want to just talk to people because there's just like a lot of like social stuff. Even by today's standard, like I went to a new metal night.
Hmm.
uh, this was not like a corporate new metal night, and I could rag on like the corporate like little dance parties or whatever, but this was like at a local bar, and this white guy just was like, "What do you know about pop punk?" I was
Oh,
like, "Dude,
oh.
I got like a
Yeah.
fucking tequila shot, and I'm literally wearing a shirt with a snake, and I got
Hmm.
spikes on. If anything, I would know a lot." And I was
Yeah.
kind of like pissy, and I just kind of walked off. Like,
Mm,
but a lot of, I hate saying this, a lot of older white people and some white people, they still feel like rock is a very white space,
mm,
even though we have like these chart topping artists, even though we have Prince, Jimmy, Lenny, etc. They
yeah.
feel like, nope, you don't need to be listening to, because they feel like, not to get too deep, but I'm gonna call what it is. They feel like a lot of the kind of alt cultures, the kind of niche cultures, that was their kind of thing, and that was their only place that they could be like weird and accepted. But that's not liberatory, because like black and brown folks have always been there, for real, for real. So
Yeah.
if anybody want to be on Stereo Heart and any of that hits, you can just send me a DM. The recording will probably happen in August or
Mhm.
whatever, but I would love to like chat with anybody listening at home. And
Yeah.
whether you were like, I went to an emo show and this what happened, or I make emo, or I don't know. The space is yours. So
Yeah, I think once you launch it, there's a bunch of people I know that definitely are into that, so I'll definitely direct them to it. So, and
yeah.
I definitely wanted to talk about ImmerseCon because it's pretty cool because it blends like STEM and infuses it with like gaming, and it's a one of a kind convention. And you also are part of the convention, and you're a cosplay director. So for people that don't know what ImmerseCon is, definitely talk about it and how you got into it and ended up working with them.
Okay, cool. Um, so ImmerseCon is a 2-day convention coming to the Greater Richmond Convention Center. We are IndieCon. I kind of joined the team last year. I just kind of reached out and was like, hey, like my friend told me about it, and I just kind of volunteered like last year. And then I was like, you know what? I think we need to do some cosplay stuff here. But ImmerseCon, we have a lot of offerings you may have noticed on the website. So we
Yeah.
do, even though the focus is STEM and gaming, we offer a lot of educational resources for the community. We have a robotics competition for our young folks that want to engage in that way. We have 2 arcades. We have a STEM career explorer, and we know that a lot of the nerd communities are impacted by STEM. And like we have a bunch of community panels, we have tabletop gaming and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to be a part of a con where it's community focus.
Hmm.
Everybody, everybody that's on the con, I can say this lovingly, is a geek, and we all care about being a geek because we've all been some form of a geek, and you know ostracized. So we just want to like have a great experience for our young folks in the community. And yeah, I can't wait to see it grow. So this is my first year being like the cosplay director. So it's interesting because it's my first time kind of curating like cosplay meetups
Hmm.
and like building like the competition and things like that. So it's really interesting. So
That's awesome. And I also saw that you curated the cosplay contest that's gonna happen. So definitely can talk about that and how if people want to join, like what's required. And I know the con is July 11th to the 12th.
yeah, so anybody like we still have like slots. The cosplay competition itself is gonna be July 12th that afternoon. If they want to sign up for the cosplay competition, I will say your costume has to be 60% made. That's a little bit lower than some of the other cosplay competition. Because like cosplay is like newer for us. There's only like three categories, and it's not, beginner, novice, or advanced. I encourage any type of cosplayer, whether you are a builder, a crafter, or anything. That our cosplay competition is only going to be like an hour long. On the website, ImmerseCon, like IMMERS con.com. um you will be able to find the link to like the sign up form, but please note that you have to buy a ticket because we have a separate ticket for our cosplaying competitors to sign up for. Is a little bit discounted too, but the ticket, when you hit the button on our website, it'll have the ticket link, and then it'll say like the guidelines, and then it will also have a link to the sign up form. The deadline to sign up is July 1st. No minors. I mean, like we only have like one. It's an adult category, but it's like anybody 13 and up. I
Hmm.
do want to specify because we have a high number of like young people in our con. Please do not have any costumes that are after dark.
Hmm.
Maybe in the future, but as for now, no. 'Cause we have
That's
so many
fair.
young people. But yeah, I'm super excited. We have some really cool judges. We have Gravel Road cosplay. Um, he's really awesome. We have Kiki from Baddies and Blurs judging. I'm judging, and we have an amazing host, Wooden Cat cosplay, and then my friend Easton, who is a part of this RVA based artist collective. I'm about to butcher their cosplay name, so I'm not going to say it. But they're really awesome, and they do full bills, and so it's kind of interesting. We're all different kind of cosplayers, like kind of putting this on for anybody in the community, and then we will have cosplay guests. So as well. So we will have the Ghostbusters of Virginia, and then
Hmm.
we'll have East Coast Cosplay Alliance there. You can meet them and see how you can join their org, as well as some of the 501 First Legion. So it's
Hmm.
interesting, and I'm happy that I was able to like get them and like share their talents because yeah.
Yeah,
And there's
definitely.
plenty of cosplay meetups on Saturday and Sunday. If you're like, I don't want to compete, I just want to take pictures, and that's totally okay too.
That's amazing. That I'm
Yeah.
I'm very excited. It seems very fun because I'm like a lab tech, so I'm in STEM, like not
Hmm.
the technology part of it, but it's technology, science, mathematics, and stuff like that. So it's fun to see that that's getting the recognition in any capacity, like in the like convention space in this type of way, because a lot of us like that are in that space. We clearly like gaming and things like that. So to have both is nice because back in the day we didn't really have that, like to combine both to show like we like both things.
Right. We have to do like just two little shout outs. We have some interesting panels too, of course, like cosplay 101 and cosplay sewing, but there is a I'm so like overwhelmed with my email, so I'm gonna mess this person's name up, so I'm not gonna say it. But we do have someone in the community that's volunteering their time to talk about the science of Star Wars and the power of cloning. Um,
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm excited. So there were some community people that were really passionate about science and like talking about how that mixed with fandom, as well as somebody talking about fitness games and how that's kind of evolved over time. And they are an indie game developer. Oh yeah, that's another thing about ImmerseCon. People can meet indie game developers. We have a showcase where people can play custom games and stuff like that. We'll have a vendor market. We have like a lot. A Beyblade tournament. I don't
Yeah.
really do Beyblade, but there's something for everyone.
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely. I saw like robotics, like you said, the Beyblade, and like you can meet people in the industry. There's so many different things for whatever somebody wants to go to. It's not just like they said on the website. It's like it's for it's for everybody in the intersection of it all. So like there's something for
Right.
everybody. So that definitely sounds like it's gonna be an amazing time.
Mhm. It's been a learning experience for sure. Where I'm just like, okay. So I'm so thankful to be on the team. I don't know if anybody's watching, but I love them and I thank them for dealing with my little neuro self.
And I also wanted to ask because like you do a lot of work in the community and you've worked with a variety of brands because your background is like you do nonprofit work, but you've also done a lot in the community as well because you were previously like a social media manager for HCBU Con. But not only that, you've worked with other people in the community like BlurCon, Afropunk, Shinobi Takeover, and there's a bunch of other organizations that you've worked with. So I wanted to ask what has been your journey? And there's one other nonprofit that I want to talk about, but I'll talk about it after this question. I just wanted to ask, like, what got
Mhm.
you into community work, like just in general, since you work like in a nonprofit space, and then how did that end up becoming a reality once you came into the blurred space?
What was funny, to take it back, so when I was in college, I was doing a lot of like student activism, which then informed me getting a radio show, and then all in all, I was still like a nerd, some form of a nerd in all of this. Like I am a lifelong nerd or blur, whatever you want to call me.
Mm.
But it was just kind of like, okay, like building upon doing like the radio show. I met somebody who was like had a nerdy radio show at the time
Yeah.
and was going to cons, and they're like, "Hey, I have a press pass." I'm like, "What's that?" So that led into like, "Oh well, if you don't want to do a press fan, you can always do a panel." So I was just kind of like, "Ain't nobody gonna really want to hear me talk about nothing." And I was like, "You know what? I'm actually brilliant, and I want to talk about mental health."
Hmm.
And like the nerd community. So then that led into like me pitching to QuirkCon, which is now defunct.
Mm.
Um, I don't know why it's not around. I know it's very hard to keep cons up,
Yeah.
but more power to those that founder. And then
Hmm.
at BlurredCon, and then I did those two panels, and the room were packed. And like obviously the panels, like even though I curated and I got my guests and I was asking questions like I would ask like on the radio show, like I did not realize so many people came out to panels like that.
Mm.
Um and it just was kind of like, okay, because that was like kind of my first time like going to like convention stuff. This was like 2018, because
Mm.
like at that point it was like me being nerdy and then like on Facebook and kind of doing like that, and then some stuff like in person, like collecting mangas and like kind of talking to friends, but just kind of opening myself to like be like a I don't want to say a conduit to like esteem myself. It's like, okay, like if I'm doing this healing work on campus
Yeah.
and I already had this radio show, well, why not, right? Like,
Hmm.
a lot of times when I do stuff, I just kind of, I just do it like, well, if it doesn't work, it's just not for me. But then it
Hmm.
was. Um, so I did that. And then, I kind of just stepped away from like like con stuff, and then I know I mentioned about joining Shinobi like takeover in the earlier part of the conversation when I was doing con stuff. So in how I got into that, I just kind of like pitched myself,
Hmm.
and I'm no longer with that org. But they were like, "Oh, you can be like our Discord manager." And at the time I was like, okay, I needed community, and I would like help out and like plan little like Thanksgiving and just different events in addition to like the kind of events and stuff like that. Not completely by myself, but
Yeah.
that's where like the kind of event organizing stuff kind of got fine tuned in that space, because like I was doing already like in college. I was like, it was easy for me to do like academic stuff, like, okay, we're gonna have a 3-day convention, I'm gonna make my boss pay for it. And I didn't realize like
Yeah.
I was, like in hindsight I was doing stuff like that with my friends. Like I co was a co EIC for like a lit mag on campus, and it was just like, it was so like natural to me because all my work was just kind of building on each other. I wasn't looking at it as separate. I was looking at it as just like a one piece as another. And then when the nerd stuff, kind of adding that kind of nerd stuff, I was realizing like, okay, well, okay, I kind of like this, I don't like this. And then I realized, okay, like I don't really want to be in the bar space anymore, and there's some other stuff just for like privacy I won't go into
Hmm.
about Shinobi. But I enjoyed my time when I was on there for like the year and a half. And then my friend Chana had reached out about HBCU Con, and you know what, I was like, you know what, hell yeah, like, because at the time I was just kind of like, I wasn't really doing anything. I was still doing like social work stuff, but I wasn't doing any type of nerd stuff. And I had kind of like took a step back away from like moderating like Facebook groups, because for a minute I was doing all of that, and
Hmm.
I was learning like it's okay, but you got to have like a lot of energy to like do
Do
that.
that. Mm.
And so I just like, you know what? I never like did anything for a con or whatever. So I like became like the volunteer engagement media. And unfortunately, I hate saying this, with a lot of the smaller orgs, your title is not just your title. You usually do more than one thing.
Yeah.
But that was kind of cool, like helping out with HBCU con. But HBCU con's like a little bit away, and I was just kind of like, I want to do some stuff in Richmond.
Hmm.
And one of my friends was just like, oh, one of my friends and his guy friends, they have like a MERSCon. And
Hmm.
like my friend knew that I wanted to do something in like Richmond closer to home, because like going to DMV and stuff like that, and it's not me like throwing like the DMV. I think the DMV has like an awesome like nerd community. They have a plethora of stuff. But I know like as you go deeper into Virginia, like where I'm at, like Central Virginia and even Hampton Roads, is a little bit scarcer. I don't really know why, but I was like, okay, cool. And then now I'm here. And then Afrofit is the most recent thing I've been kind of doing, co-doing with that group of peers. And I'm just excited to see both of those kind of grow, because they all the roles that I had, nerd wise, I feel like I just use a lot of the stuff that I use in my day job, and I just kind of like fine fine tuning it. And now I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, I got to figure out how to do this like professionally, like full time. Don't know what steps I need to take, but I'm having fun doing it.
No, yeah,
And it
that's
keeps me sane too, because a lot of people are like, isn't ImmerseCon like stressful? When you actually do like human services work,
yeah.
and somebody's like, you're gonna die because
Mm.
like you messed up something,
Mm.
like cakewalk, event stuff, cakewalk, cakewalk. And I'm being funny.
Yeah,
If we got any social workers or other case managers, you
yeah,
know
I can
exactly.
understand.
Yeah, no.
Because like I get it. I feel like because when it's like real life stuff and like there's so much writing on it. Like this side of it is like not as bad.
Yeah, I take pride in everything, all the brands that I've kind of, done stuff for. And I've just been thankful because like I know on my website with some of the brands I worked with, those were just like kind of like writing opportunities where somebody was like, okay, we like your pitch, we like your voice, and boop, and I'm like, like one more step. And I think if there's any young person like uh watching this, just pitch. Or if you're like, you know what, none of this is for me, like you
Mhm.
can have courage to just start something new. And it's going to be hard, no doubt. But if you're like, hey, like I want to like make a publication for like furries, black furries, or something,
Yeah.
more power to you. Because the thing is, sometimes in everything, and I can say, a lot of opportunities I've gotten, I've literally just asked, and if somebody was like, nope. But also I've been in spaces where I've had opportunities and things are just kind of like we don't have the fund anymore. Like I know I mentioned on one um video recently, I for a minute I worked for a really big publication that's now no longer in business,
Mhm.
and nobody prepares you for that as a freelancer. Like, oh, we don't have seed money, we don't have. And that's real life. And I'll tell anybody, like, the arts, as much as we love it, sometimes it's really heartbreaking, but that doesn't mean you should stop. But I am going to be honest about the realities, because I've had friends who have done people who have filmed like shows, been on movies, and somebody's like, oop, they're just like, nope, we're not going into post production.
Mm.
Or, but you got to just keep moving on if you want to, do art and stuff. For me, it's like I have to kind of figure out, and I've talked to my mentor recently, in full transparency, like a lot of the stuff that we want to do in the art space, especially in nurse space, there's really no title. You just
Mm.
have to make it.
Mm.
And that's not me being like, damn it. It's just like, no, you're gonna have to just build the thing, and it scares that you have to build it.
Mm. No, that
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair because, like you said, it's like some areas when you're trying to help out, it's very difficult. Like it's very difficult, or and like you said, they don't want to fund it, especially in this like current climate, and
Hmm.
that does not help anything. So.
But yeah, I do want to just shout out a show.
Hmm.
I think I might be getting the name mixed up because I'm really bad
Hmm.
at these things.
Yeah.
It's the comic shop.
Yeah.
I know that was crowdfunded. I love that.
Hmm.
Like, I think we're gonna see more crowdfunded pieces like that. And like, since we're on the topic, like a few years ago, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I got a chance to see Issa Rae give like a private lecture. Thanks to my friend who was like, "Hey, like she's my job has an extra ticket,"
Yeah.
and she was talking to these young people at this kind of like this symposium, and she was talking about like she didn't know if Insecure, as we know, she didn't know if it was going to get funded. And
Mm.
she had the original pilot of Insecure, which we'll probably never see,
Mm.
did not get picked up by ABC. And she was just kind of like, oh God, what? But she just kept like keeping on and stuff like that. And also another part, Awkward Black Girl, if Pharrell and like the community didn't fund that, we, probably wouldn't have it. But she had to have the courage to still make it anyway. And that's the thing, just have the courage to make it anyways, even if it's bad.
Yeah. Mm. No, yeah, I definitely understand that. And speaking of the comic shop, before we even mention anything else, they did win an award at the American Black Film Festival. I didn't know if you knew that.
Yay! I think I saw it and reposted it and forgot. But yay. I love them.
Yeah, so definitely they're getting a lot of support that they do need and recognition. So hopefully that means that we get a season 2 because like people are
Yes,
recognizing.
yes.
And one question I usually ask is about support in the blurred community. I ask, what do we do well to support each other? What can we work on? Okay, everybody has a different opinion on this based on the question, based on their experience.
Oh God. Oh God. What can we do more of? I'm gonna get on somebody's nerve.
Listen, listen, to make you feel comfortable, because sometimes people get nervous. It's my thing to ask this question. So every guest has answered it, and we have not gotten in trouble because it may not be something I post on, Instagram. But even if I have, nobody has canceled anybody. It's a safe space. Do not worry. I just want to let you know that.
And this is from me being in a lot of creative spaces. I just think we do not do a good enough of championing the following. I'm gonna put my fingers up.
Mhm.
Older nerds. Oops. Older nerds.
Yeah.
Why has the blurred community become so ageist?
That's true.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
People that we consider like unconventionally attractive, everybody in
Mm,
the blurred community is not gonna look like a fitness model, supermodel. And even if you
yeah.
do, like
Hmm.
it can't be the same 15 people.
People,
Like,
yeah.
and then three, honestly, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, but I don't even think we really like we need to start uplifting our like disabled like creators
No, yeah, we
like
definitely do. Yeah.
in a way where it's like I'll see disabled folks, and when I mean disabled, I mean all across the board, like invisible
Hmm.
abilities, and then actual people that use some type of mobility aid. I don't want to have to feel like every time we see a disabled uh creator in our community, why is it the only time they get some type of recognition is when they're in crisis or in trauma? And maybe
Hmm.
I feel
Hmm.
like, I don't think that should be the only time that we're talking to a disabled person. That's just me. Um, and
Yeah.
then more like LGBTQIA folks. And honestly, like I think like lifting up those people, and I think also like you know, I have a pretty smaller platform. I think like people need to be okay and say like, hey, like this is truly where I'm at. And I think sometimes, and I struggle with like cosplay stuff too.
Hmm.
Um, Needing the idea to be like perfect and everything don't have to be picture perfect. Like you're still a human being.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people um I think sometimes we put so much pressure on like bigger creators to be like perfect, and then when they have a human moment we get mad, and then on the other side our smaller creative they might not get recognition at all. And I just wish, obviously like people are people and we're imperfect and like things like that, but I think we need to kind of like take a few steps back and just be like, okay, we need to assess like, are we doing good stuff for the community if we're like championing the same five people that are usually thinner and usually lighter skin, if we want to be really real.
Hmm.
Not to throw shade at anybody, because there are some folks that I like love that do fit those dynamics. I'm not gonna name drop anybody, but it's just kind of disheartening where it's like I'll look at my other friends' feed, my like non-black friends, and maybe it exists in our communities, but it's like they can be a little bit more diverse. But like when it comes to like black cosplayers and stuff, just talking about cosplayers, whatever, why is everybody like they fit a mold? The men fit a mold, the women fit the mold. I don't know if the non-binary people are even considered at all, but I just feel like it shouldn't be a popularity contest, and it shouldn't. If I'm looking at your cosplay stuff or how you engage with people, it shouldn't be like oh, they got this many followers and that, and I can go on and on about like algorithm and all that kind of stuff. But I wish like we actually took time to like be genuine in our support to people that may not have that many followers, they are just as valid, that sort of thing. So I hope that answered the question.
No, yeah, no, yeah. I feel like you definitely touched on a lot of things that had to be said. So that's why I like accent. That's why I like answering this question. I think you're the first person that really brought up like how some of the ones that get ignored, like that we should support them better. Particularly, like I like that you mentioned disabled, LGBT, and the unconventionally attractive. That's something that I don't think anybody has brought up yet on the show. So I thank you for
Mhm.
bringing that up because it's true. I've seen it personally, like when you see somebody they don't feel like it's conventionally attractive cosplay versus I don't know the ones that you know of that
Mhm.
go to the gym often or they look like they come from a cover or whatever and they get the most views and likes and stuff like that and they're wearing the same cosplay and it's like it's a night and day difference in
Right.
terms of the support and I have a creator shout out to inside my universe. I hope I pronounced the Instagram name right, but yeah, she's really doing a lot of work to
Yay.
destigmatize like people that are cosplayers that are disabled because she goes through a lot and yeah I do see sometimes like when she's going through crisis like people may respond more but she's been able to get a following of people that just like her for her and her cosplay and stuff like that. She's reached over 10K on her pages, so people are supporting her. But like, she does struggle with things and the stigma of being disabled, and I'm sure that other people that may want to follow in her footsteps and talk about it, they should get the same support. So yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing. Do you see? You see? Don't worry, nothing bad is gonna
Yeah.
happen.
No, I mean I could go on and on. I can add one more part, and
Yeah,
maybe
yeah. Go ahead.
another thing. This is from someone that has done indie events
Hmm.
and stuff like that. I love y'all, but please do not ruin the convention space. Please don't ruin it. And what I mean to say is the corporate cons, and I'm not going to shout out them. Your convention experience, because people ask me all the time, like, well, why should I go to the convention you work for or whatever? I want to say that it is okay for you to attend a larger con, but I also need y'all to understand the larger cons are not the only cons you can support.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be mad if you don't go to one I work for, but I know a lot of times I interact with people and they think it's like a us versus them. And as somebody who does events or whatever, been in this kind of space, I know talking to some of my friends that do event work, not gonna name drop, a lot of organizers feel like, man, if nobody comes to this event, I fucking failed, and that's not true. But I don't think that ever gets really told. Where you'll see people go to the ones. I understand like cons are expensive, but it's okay for you to go to like a little or a smaller con, or if you're like, hey, I kind of want to do a mini con or card game show or whatever. There's a lot of things you can support. I just want to say like the big cons, they cool,
Hmm.
but it's okay for y'all to have a diverse con experience.
No, yeah, that's
So
definitely
yeah.
true. No, yeah, I definitely understand that. And I also wanted to talk about just your experience doing panels, particularly like with the HCBU con. Did a lot last year, and I
Hmm.
saw in one of the descriptions that you also had owned a business at some point with like jewelry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
Uh
ask, like, how has it been doing panels?
um so I haven't honestly I haven't really done that many since HBCU come, because a lot of my work now has been doing kind of like the back end
Yeah.
community building and stuff like that. But those were always fun. It kind of was like the first thing I did like post radio show. So that was kind of cool. So I enjoy them, and I think that's why I'm kind of going back to doing the podcast. The jewelry thing, I haven't done that in a while, but I've been rethinking that because I kind of want to like make some stuff and sell it, but I know I need to learn how to sew first. So that's just kind of in the that's just kind of in the background. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the last questions I was going to ask is about a particular organization because you mentioned it in one of your videos recently. For the Fem and You, that you've been doing work with them for quite a long time. And I wanted you to talk about kind of like the organization and what it's about and how you ended up being a part of it.
Oh gosh. Oh, my friends gonna think this is funny. So, uh, I actually have never like vended for the feminine use. Like one of my friends is nonprofit, so she does like a artist development nonprofit, but also she's done maker markets and like healing spaces and styling shoots and just different stuff. And it's just really awesome to kind of just see it kind of grow because they've done stuff in Richmond, they've done stuff in Miami, LA, and right now a couple of the folks they are in Thailand. And I think it's just making sure I always share like the events. So I think it's very important for Black women and queer people to have spaces that honor their identity because unfortunately a lot of times in the event space, even though we are now getting more inclusive and people feel more empowered, a lot of things, a lot of white men hold the money, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see how my friend has kind of built um, this kind of system of like championing holistic health, but also honoring like the arts and do it in an Afrocentric way. Like I said, I'm not a performer in that collective. I just kind of always share and try to go out when I can.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
they've done stuff like community feedings and stuff like that, and just a lot of stuff. I just think it's so amazing and stuff. I know my friend and their partner, they're trying to get a physical space in Richmond and things like that. And even I have one friend recently that just got a gallery space in Richmond. That was hard for him and his mostly male friends getting that space. It's very hard for a lot of our businesses to get actual spaces that they own versus spaces they have to rent out. So
Yeah, definitely. And one of the last question I'm going to ask is, how has this journey that you've been on and everything that you've done, how has it helped you as a person?
oh gosh, my little strange little life. Um, Honestly, I feel like I'm just honoring myself. And I know that sounds crazy. Like
Hmm.
I just always knew as like a younger person I've been like creative and I'm just always going to create. I haven't really figured out exactly how to make that like solid and do it full time yet.
Hmm.
But I'm confident that I will. But I feel like my creativity has opened like a lot of doors for me, and also it gives me strength to like say like yeah I matter and so do you. Um, and I don't know. I don't think I could be really poetic. I just feel like creativity is just life. Like
Yeah, definitely. No, it makes a ton of sense. Hey, Quay, thanks for coming in.
Oh,
Definitely watch it back when you can. But yeah, definitely. I appreciate having you on the show and talking about everything that you got to talk about. And hopefully you had a good time.
I did. I had an amazing time. Thank you for having me. Oh no, your sound went out. I'm sorry. It still went out. I don't know what's going on. That's the other thing about art, the unexpected.
Okay. So apparently my mic decided to switch again. It has two options on this one. This called Hypercast X and Say's Audio. Sometimes
Mhm.
Say's Audio will work for a few weeks and then it switches. It just did that just now. So we're good now.
Mhm.
But it hasn't happened midstream, but it's okay. But this is a chance for you to share where you want people to follow you and catch up with everything that you're doing.
Okay. The quickest way to catch up with me is on my Instagram at Mochahime. So M0chahim and the number 3. So there you will see my cosplay fashion stuff. My link tree has the links to ImmerseCon. It has a link to some audio work that I've done, and it has the link to my my website. So yep. So
Definitely.
and also in my bio on my Instagram page, it'll have like ImmerseCon, Afrofate, RVA, and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
that's the quickest way to get in touch with me.
that's awesome. And I'm going to try to put the Linktree link. I'm trying to see. It's gonna be a long link. Let me see if I can short.
It's okay.
Let's see. But let's see. Okay. All right. That's the long version of it, but let's see. The long version, but like when you click the link tree in bio, it will take you to this link, and then you go to the link.
Dang, that looks crazy.
But I'll try to do the shortened version. Let me see if I can do the shortened version. Let's go here. So copy link address. Let's just see. Nah, it's not. But definitely when you go, definitely when you go on into the bio, it will have the link right there. You just click right on it. So definitely go check everything else out. Make sure to check out ImmerseCon. Make sure to check out all the things that are happening at the con as well, and make sure you show support to our amazing guests tonight. So definitely thank you guys so much that joined. And for those that don't know what I do, I have my business, AnimeInkArt, which is where I traditionally draw, digitally edit. It's Japanese, anime inspired. I am doing commissions again, doing artwork again for that. You can catch up on that at AnimeInkArt 1. We do a plethora of things. So we do cosplay for the art, but just in general now. And as well as we are affiliates with the Talking Noir. We were in their cosplay calendar last year for My Cosplay is Black. The Sirens box is coming out. If you missed the deadline, I'm so sorry about that. But whoever got it, it'll be shipping out to you. As well as another box that is based on villains is coming out. So you have until I believe it's August 31st to sign up for that. You can use code AnimeInkArt to get free shipping. We also volunteer with Critical Care Comics. We give toys and comics to the children in the hospitals in New York. And we are looking for more people in the New York chapter. So definitely go on to their Instagram page, criticalcarecomics.com, to support them. And there's going to be a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you'll find out about. We'll still have more shows. We just took a little bit of a break for the next week because we have to take care of commissions plus prepare for DreamCon and Anime NYC. But we'll still have shows if you guys are interested in being on the show. In the meantime, definitely click the link in the bio at AnimeInkArt 1. And we also have AnimeInkArt Live 1. And if you click the link tree, you'll get all the information that you need about AnimeInkArt. So definitely thank you guys so much. And with that, we're signing off. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank